Welcome to Sugosha Media News. Here are the top defense technology and global security headlines for 6th of April. Indian Navy has initiated a search for MANTA autonomous ship-launched ISR and targeting drone under Disk 14, signaling a push towards next-generation maritime surveillance and strike integration. The Ministry of Defense has issued an expression of interest for an indigenous 1,000 kilogram aerial bomb in the Mark 84 class, with plans to procure up to 600 units, marking a major step in air-delivered munitions indigenization. The Indian Air Force has invited bids for a hydrogen-powered heavy-lift airship aimed at long-endurance surveillance missions, highlighting India's interest in sustainable and persistent ISR platforms. The Gas Turbine Research Establishment will convert Su-30 MKI fighters into flying testbeds to accelerate development of India's indigenous jet engine programs. India has unveiled an advanced cavitation tunnel facility, strengthening capabilities to design quieter, stealthier submarines. Sun Inox Metal Forge is fast-tracking a new 155 artillery shell manufacturing facility to meet rising global demand for ammunition. In a major avionics development, the Astra microwave Rafael joint venture has secured a 250 crore rupees contract from Hindustan Aeronautics for advanced software-defined radios. In the corporate space, Wipro has won a $1 billion deal with Olam Group and will acquire its IT arm Mindsprint. The Indian Army is pushing for a 250 crore fund to eliminate the startup trial trap, aiming to accelerate defense innovation and procurement from emerging players. In a high-risk operation, United States Special Forces conducted a combat rescue mission for a downed F-15E crew inside Iran. Meanwhile, Iranian media has released footage challenging the US narrative, alleging multiple American aircraft losses during the operation. Now a look at the news in detail. Navy has issued requirement under Disk 14 for a ship-launched autonomous tactical attack ISR drone. The technical specifications: platform sized, less than 7 meters length, less than 2.8 meters width, less than 2.7 tons, endurance greater than or equal to 7 days, range greater than 750 nm. Emphasis is on autonomy, navigation, collision avoidance, target ID, mission execution via AI. Payload includes EOIR, laser rangefinder, SATCOM, mesh capable VUHF SDRs, carries two multi-copter drones for local aerial ISR extension. Stealth, low observable features required for contested littoral operations. Signals demand for distributed persistent maritime sensing targeting close to adversary coasts. The Ministry of Defense has formally invited industry participation to develop a 1,000 kilogram aerial bomb akin to the Mark 84 class. The system will be compatible with both Russian and Western origin aircrafts in Indian Air Force service, replacing imported munitions. This initiative falls under the Make 2 and Buy IDDM categories, reflecting a push for indigenously designed, developed, and manufactured defense equipment. The project is structured in two stages: initial design and development of 6 prototypes, both live and inert, followed by a procurement phase. Trials will be conducted within India on specified Air Force platforms with a minimum of 50% indigenous content required. The estimated timeline from EOI issuance to contract signing is about 2.5 years, including user trials, evaluation, and commercial processes. Why does the Indian Air Force need local production now? Currently, Mark 84 class general purpose bombs are imported from foreign suppliers, limiting strategic autonomy. The proposed indigenous bomb is described as a natural fragmentation, high caliber munition with high blast effect and significant peak over pressure against enemy targets. By developing it locally, India aims to secure supply chains, reduce dependency, and tailor designs for operational needs. Indian Air Force has announced an initiative to develop hydrogen-powered autonomous airships, signaling a major technological leap in its surveillance and reconnaissance capabilities. The project, formally titled the Medium Altitude Heavy Lift Airship, is envisioned as a pilotless platform capable of operating at altitudes of around 30,000 feet while carrying payloads of up to 5,000 kilograms. Air Force has invited bids from Indian companies stipulating that proposals must maintain at least 50% indigenous content through foreign collaboration is permitted. The airship is expected to serve multiple strategic roles, including persistent intelligence gathering, electronic warfare support, and communications functions akin to airborne radar systems. It will also be designed to carry specialized payloads and act as a launch base for missiles and drones while in flight. The Air Force has emphasized hydrogen as the preferred fuel source, citing its abundance, non toxic nature, high energy density, and clean combustion byproduct of water vapor. Hybrid propulsion systems combining hydrogen fuel with solar power batteries or fuel cells are encouraged, with a minimum endurance requirement of 10 days. The airship must be capable of auto launch and recovery from both prepared and unprepared surfaces, ensuring adaptability in diverse environments. Communication systems are expected to provide line of sight coverage of at least 250 kilometers or operate seamlessly through satellite links. Air Force has not disclosed the number of airships it intends to procure, but the requirement underscores the scale and ambition of the project. Industry partners will need to demonstrate strong financial and technical foundations, including manufacturing infrastructure, in-house design capability, and robust project management expertise. The proposals must be submitted by 30th of April, with the Air Force set to select the most suitable partner from among the competing bids. India is embarking on a new chapter in its aerospace journey with the decision to convert two Su-30 MKI fighter jets into dedicated flying test beds for indigenous engine development. GTRE is spearheading this initiative, which is expected to accelerate the certification of homegrown aero engines, including the ambitious Kaveri 2.0 and other advanced high thrust systems for future fighter aircrafts. The two selected Su-30 MKIs will be extensively modified with advanced instrumentation to record detailed performance data during flight. Unlike ground based laboratories, airborne testing will allow engineers to observe how Indian made engines and components behave under real flight conditions. Flight trials will be conducted in a carefully structured, step by step manner. Initial tests will focus on individual components rather than complete engines, ensuring that each subsystem is safe and reliable before integration. The GTRE will employ detailed failure modes, effects, and criticality analysis to identify potential failure points during flight. India has taken a major step towards naval self reliance with the foundation stone laid for a large cavitation tunnel LCT at the Naval Science and Technological Laboratory NSTL in Vishakhapatnam. The Defence Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, described the facility as a strategic national asset that will allow India to indigenously design, test, and validate submarines, warships, and underwater systems without relying on foreign facilities. The LCT will play a crucial role in advancing propulsion technologies, reducing noise signatures, and enhancing stealth capabilities, the key factors for modern submarine and ship design. The inauguration also showcased India's growing expertise in autonomous underwater vehicles, torpedoes, and next generation maritime systems. Sun Inox Metal Forge has rapidly commissioned a new facility in Fulton, Maharashtra to manufacture 155 mm M107 artillery shells, strengthening India's defense production capacity and addressing surging global demand for ammunition. The facility ensures a resilient supply chain, reducing turnaround time at filling plants and positioning the Indian private sector as a competitive global vendor for NATO standard artillery hardware. Astra Rafael Comsys Private Limited, a collaborative venture between Hyderabad's Astra Microwave Products and Israel's Rafael Advanced Defence Systems has got an significant contract worth 250 crore rupees from Hindustan Aeronautics. This substantial agreement focuses on the provision of advanced software-defined radios, a cornerstone of modern military communication. The contract is inclusive of all taxes and is slated for completion within an 18-month window commencing from 1st of April 26. The technology at the heart of this deal, software-defined radios, represents a paradigm shift from traditional hardware-based communication. SDRs allow for versatile, programmable communication protocols, making them indispensable for the high-stakes environment of modern defense aviation. Wipro has signed an 8-year deal, one of its largest strategic transformation agreements, with Olam Group that is expected to exceed $1 billion in total contract value as the IT major moves to acquire Singapore headquartered firm's digital services arm Mindsprint. The deal comes with a committed spend of $800 million and will see Wipro deliver end-to-end transformation services to Olam through a consulting-led and AI-powered approach as it deepens its push into large, long-duration deals amid a muted demand environment. Wipro will acquire Mindsprint, which will become a wholly owned subsidiary subject to regulatory approvals, with closure expected by the end of June. The unit, which employs more than 3,200 professionals, is important to Olam's digital transformation efforts and brings domain led capabilities in supply chain, digital platforms, and proprietary solutions. The engagement will span Olam's farm to fork value chain, covering areas like farming, forecasting, trading, supply chain operations, and customer engagement. According to Wipro, it will deploy its AI suite, Wipro Intelligence, alongside industry specific solutions to improve operational effectiveness and resilience across the business. InSpace has signed a transfer of technology agreement with Ahmedabad based startup Peer Site, enabling the transfer of a critical ISRO developed satellite component to the private sector. The technology, believed to enhance Earth observation and maritime monitoring capabilities, will be integrated into PeerSight's satellite constellation. The move supports indigenous manufacturing, reduces dependence on imports, and strengthens India's private space ecosystem. Facilitated under InSpace's regulatory framework, the collaboration accelerates innovation and positions India as a growing hub for space tech development. With defense startups often unable to move beyond the trial stage, Indian Army has proposed a 250 crore rupees annual field exploitation and capability acceleration, the FICA fund, per service headquarters, which is under consideration with the Defense Ministry. It aims to create a structured system to test and evaluate new technologies in real conditions, backed by small initial orders to assess performance. The idea is to plug gaps by allowing improvements to systems over time, adapting civilian technologies for military use, and covering costs during trials and field use, including damage and other expenses that startups currently have to bear on their own. The challenge faced by startups is most evident in the NCNC demonstrations, where startups pitch their systems with operational potential. The Army has procured equipment worth around 5,000 crore rupees through this route, with several of these systems proving useful in field exploitation and emergency procurement cases. There have been many cases where graduates from top institutions invest all their savings to build systems only to see them fail in high altitude conditions where performance varies. Equipment gets damaged, sometimes destroyed, effectively ending a startup's journey despite its potential. The proposed framework seeks to break this logjam. Startups and MSMEs will be given a 3 to 4 month window to demonstrate their systems against defined operational requirements. If a system performs well, it can be taken up for limited field exploitation orders with the possibility of scaling up to bulk procurement once it proves itself in service. A key element of the proposal is risk support, which addresses a major gap in the current system. At present, startups bear the full cost of equipment damaged or expended during trials, including transportation to forward and high altitude areas, repairs, and modifications. Despite existing initiatives like IDEX and the make procedure under DAP 2020, converting prototypes into actual procurements remains a persistent issue, with FECA envisaged as a more structured mechanism to bridge this gap. Now, some news from the war zone. US Special Operations Forces launched a high risk combat search and rescue mission deep inside southwestern Iran to recover the crew of a downed US Air Force F 15E Strike Eagle, executing one of the most complex personnel recovery operations of the conflict. The jet was shot down by Iranian air defenses, triggering an immediate race against time to secure surviving aircrew before enemy forces could capture them. The operations highlight the US military's ability to penetrate heavily contested airspace and extract personnel under active pursuit, preserving both lives and sensitive information. It signals a credible capacity to sustain air operations even in the face of advanced air defenses, reinforcing deterrence and operational reach in one of the world's most volatile theaters. US forces deployed a multi domain CSAR package combining HS-60G Pave Hawk helicopters supported by MC-130 Special Operations aircraft flying low-level infiltration profiles across mountainous terrains alongside fifth-generation F-35 fighters providing stealth escort and suppression of enemy air defenses. MQ-9 Reaper drones contributed persistent ISR coverage, enabling real-time tracking of both the isolated airmen and converging Iranian forces. This layered approach reflects the US Air Force's Personnel Recovery Task Force doctrine, integrating air superiority, EW, and special operations forces into a single synchronized operation. The operation unfolded under extremely hazardous flight conditions, with US C-130 variants and rescue helicopters forced to fly low and slow through complex mountainous terrain to avoid radar detection while searching for the missing airmen. Such profiles significantly increase vulnerability to ground fire and infrared threats, underscoring the high risk of deep CSAR missions in denied environments where terrain masking is both an asset and a constraint. Iranian state-linked outlets have circulated footage claiming that several US aircrafts, including MC-130C-130 transport and Black Hawk helicopters, were destroyed during a reported combat search and rescue attempt near Isfahan. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRGC) asserted that joint aerospace and ground forces intercepted the mission, while US sources emphasized that the rescue was successful and downplayed reports of losses. The information environment remains highly contested, with verification varying across sources and no independent confirmation of the alleged aircraft destruction. Strategically, the incident highlights the elevated risk of CSAR operations in denied airspace, where adversary air defenses and rapid response forces can threaten survivability. It also underscores the potential for escalation, as disputed narratives around aircraft losses and mission outcomes can fuel political and military tensions. Analysts expect follow-on scrutiny of US tactics, force protection measures, and the resilience of aircraft platforms in contested environments, as well as broader implications for operational security in ongoing conflict zones. A quick wrap of today's news. India is accelerating defense indigenization across domains, from naval drones and aerial munitions to airships and indigenous engine development. Infrastructure and industry are scaling up, with submarine R&D facilities and artillery manufacturing expansion supporting both self-reliance and exports. Private sector momentum continues through key defense tech partnerships and major digital deals. The Army is also pushing reforms to enable startups and faster innovation. Globally, tensions remain elevated, with development in Iran underscoring rising uncertainty. Overall, India is building capabilities at home while navigating an increasingly complex global security landscape. At Sugosha Media, we simplify complexity. From decoding defense policies to enabling market entry and structuring offsets, we help organizations move from strategy to execution in India's aerospace and defense ecosystem. Our focus is clear: turning regulatory understanding into business outcomes. We look forward to partnering in shaping the next phase of growth in this sector. Thank you.